Today, we need to put some respect on Islam Makhachev's name. And Hamzat Chimaev barely beats Kamaru Usman. I mean, we knew he was going to beat Kamaru Usman, but he barely beat Kamaru Usman. And what about the most hated man in Abu Dhabi? The doctor that stopped the Johnny Walker Ankalaev fight. All of this and more on today's episode of Matter of Fact MMA. Let's go. What's up? What's happening? We right back in it. We right back at it. Back to drop down a couple of things on y'all today. You know what I'm talking about? We getting into the UFC 294 breakdown. And right off the bat, up top, up front, was UFC 294, was it a letdown card? I mean, was it a letdown card? You know what I'm saying? I feel like it was a card that was really hyped up. It was really big. We were excited about different points. But I think the co and the main event really just blew our minds so much as to what was about to happen that we missed that this card was probably gonna be a letdown outside the co main event and the main event as well as the rest of the card. But now that it's happened, it was kind of a letdown. Let's start out up top with the main event. Islam Makhachev goes out there and defends his 155-pound title against Alexander Volkanovski. Well, you know, let's start out. We coming in hot. Your boy Matt picked Alexander Volkanovski. I know. I know. I was not just wrong. I was completely wrong. I will say, I feel like I was just caught up in the emotions. You know what I'm saying? I was caught up in the vibes. I was caught up in what was in the air. You know what I'm talking about? And yeah, I did choose Volkanovski. I don't know why I chose Volkanovski, but I just thought it would be a storybook ending. You know what I'm talking about? In 2023, we've seen a lot of upsets, but nevertheless, Islam Makhachev goes out there and defeats Alexander Volkanovski after knocking him out with a head kick. Bro, you know, it's like, I mean, there's not a lot to say about this. I mean, the man came in on 11 days' notice, and, you know, we're talking about Islam Makhachev. This is why I should have picked Islam Makhachev, but I didn't. Because I'm slow. But nevertheless, you know what I'm saying? Islam Makhachev goes out there, does his thing, and he will move forward. He actually called for Charles Oliveira, but, you know, he might go in there against Charles Oliveira, or he might go in there, they might, you know, UFC might pull a fast one on you and throw him in there with Justin Gaethje. I don't really know, but Islam is going to advance and move forward with his career. Now let's move over to Alexander Volkanovski, who says that he wants to come back, he wants to return in January to defend the featherweight championship against Topuria. Let's just, okay, all right, let's just, to anybody out there that might be seeing this video, if you know Alexander Volkanovski, you know, if you're a fan of his, if you're not even a fan, if you're a family member of his, if you see him physically, like, if he comes and buys coffee at your coffee shop, you know what I'm talking about? If he comes to the Target where you live at, you know what I'm saying? Stop this man. Grab this man and tell him no. Like, tell the man no. Under no circumstances should you be stepping back in there in January after a head kick knockout like that. Okay? So just call that off for him. So, you know, Alexander Volkanovski, my heart goes out to him. He said a lot of somewhat possibly disturbing things at his post-fight press conference where, you know, he kind of alluded to when he's not training for a fight, when he doesn't have a fight that, you know, he's training for or that he's about to have, or he knows the date that's about to occur. He kind of goes into a dark place, and he needs the training. He needs to fight to keep from having that mental lapse. My heart goes out to him. I hope everything's okay. But on Saturday night in Abu Dhabi, Islam Makhachev is your winner. Let's move on to the co-main event. The co-main event where the Wolf, Khamzat Chimaev, stepped in there against the Nigerian Nightmare, Kamaru Usman, at 185 pounds. Now, let's start this out. Round one was exactly what we've come to expect from Chimaev. Exactly what we expect. The man goes out there and he dominates Kamaru Usman. Now, I will say, even though he completely dominated Usman in the first round, I mean, bro, like, can you quit going for the choke and just, pound the man out, pause? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, he had his back. He's literally laying on top of Kamaru Usman on his back. And he's still fighting for this choke. And I know he was landing some shots to Usman while he had his back. But, I mean, Chimaev was clearly the bigger man. He had the full training camp, and it's like Kamaru was at a disadvantage, especially when Kamaru is carrying this man's weight and he's leaning all the way forward. This is before Kamaru stood up. Chimaev really started going for that choke, and Kamaru Usman DDT'd himself. I'm talking about before that. Chimaev had his back for so many minutes, and I'm like, bro, throw in some underhooks, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, throw in some shots. You're Khamzat Chimaev. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you're weak. It's not like you don't have power. And it's like you've got Kamaru at a disadvantage because Kamaru is expecting any second he's going to go for this choke. So he's bracing for the choke. He's keeping his chin tucked. He's ready for the choke. Chimaev, punch him in the side of punch him in the temple. Punch him in the side of the face, bro. Loosen him up a little bit more. He was throwing some little shots, but my point is they were little shots. I believe he probably could have finished Usman, or definitely rocked him enough, wobbled him enough where he would drop to his knees on the ground under all of the weight of Chimaev, especially if Usman has bad knees. But nevertheless, first round, of course, goes to Khamzat Chimaev, probably a 10-8 round. Now, what we know in hindsight is that Khamzat Chimaev either broke his hand, broke his wrist, or had some sort of an arm injury. And that is what he was saying, as to why he didn't do more in the second and third round. But the second and third round, let's talk about the second round. The second round, Kamaru Usman started to make a comeback. Kamaru Usman dug down deep. He kept his composure. He wasn't worried about what Chimaev had done in the first round. And Kamaru Usman goes out there and does his thing in the second round. Okay, so I gave that round to Usman. Now, in the third round, I will say, in my opinion, I believe that Chimaev edged out Kamaru Usman. He did just a little bit more to win. But, I mean, come on. We talking about the Wolf. You know what I'm saying? We talking about Khamzat Chimaev. Where did all of where did all the piss and vigor go? Like, where did it all go? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just was like, I'm not saying that it was completely a cardio issue, because he still looked strong more toward the end of the fight to a certain extent. So in my opinion, I think that once he got that hand injury, I think that lead jab, that lead hand of his, or at least, I know he switches stances, but I believe that right hand to just set up a good solid right shot, every now and then switch his stance, set up a right jab. I believe that was so integral to his stand-up game plan that when that tool was taken away, I think Chimaev was like, I'm just going to coast this one out. Because I feel like Chimaev still could have done a lot more to win that fight. I think he still could have imposed himself on Kamaru Usman, but the gamble is if if I try to impose my will on Usman and Usman is still here at the end of this, my gas tank will be depleted and I'm going to take this L. So in my opinion, I think that the injury caused Chimaev to kind of go into autopilot and kind of coast it out. But still, I mean, and maybe the injury was so great he wasn't able to grapple. So he wasn't really, he wasn't going to go for the takedown too. I mean, he didn't really go for the takedown too many more times. Like, it didn't really happen that much more. There was a couple of times he still got one, or he shot. But still, at the end of the day, shout out to Kamaru Usman. He rose to the occasion on like 9 days' notice. He goes out there with the Wolf Khamzat Chimaev, and he held his own. He won the second round, and a lot of people can argue that he might have won the third round. I scored it for Chimaev, in my opinion, but he could have won that one. So now, I mean, Chimaev, bro, you're just going to have to take another fight. I don't care what nobody says. That, like, granted, you did beat Kamaru Usman, who is one of the 5 best welterweights of all time. So you did beat him, but we were expecting a lot more, because this was, I mean, Usman's always going to be in shape, but this was Usman off the couch. You know what I'm saying? This is Usman off the chips. Usman got his little chips, his salsa, he got a Modelo, you know what I'm saying? He chilling, and he gets that phone call from Daddy Warbucks, Big Money Dana, and he's got to go out there, and he's got to fight Chimaev. So, we're expecting a lot more from Khamzat Chimaev. I know he's just a man, he's just a fighter, whatever you want to say, but he's the Wolf Khamzat Chimaev. He's been lighting the MMA world on fire for the last 2 to 3 years. We expected more from Khamzat Chimaev, but nevertheless, he gets the win. He shouldn't get a title shot against Strickland, so let's just calm all that. It's what Dana wants to do, but let's just calm all of that. The title shot goes to Dricus du Plessis. Let's move on. Let's move on to another fight in which wasn't really a fight. We're talking about bro, I'm still at a loss for words about this fight. We're talking about Johnny Walker in there against Ankalaev. And it was shaping up to be probably an action-packed fight. We're talking about, Ankalaev caught Johnny Walker with multiple teeps to the gut. Bro, it was shaping up to be a good fight. And you see Ankalaev catch Johnny Walker with a solid shot. Johnny Walker backs up. As he backs up, Ankalaev moves in, but he moves in with a little bit of pressure, but he's not rushing in, which is key there. Because if he would have rushed in, he would have got knocked out, because Johnny Walker was playing Johnny Walker games, and he was playing a little bit of possum. You know what I'm talking about? And as Ankalaev slow and steadily moved in, did not rush, he jumps up with a flying knee. Barely miss Ankalaev. Nevertheless, the fight gets pushed back up against the cage. This is where the foul occurred. So, there's at a point where Johnny Walker is a downed opponent. He's got at least 3 points of contact on the ground. He might have had 4. Ankalaev hits him with a knee to the side of the head. The referee he pauses the fight. So now, generally what would happen is a doctor comes in, he talks to Johnny Walker, Johnny Walker talks to him, he kind of makes sure he can continue. If he can continue, then the fight goes on. If he can't continue, Johnny Walker would have won by a disqualification. He would have won because Ankalaev threw the illegal blow. This Abu Dhabi doctor comes in there. He starts talking to Johnny Walker. There is a language barrier, so that is in play. But he asks Johnny Walker, where's he at? Johnny Walker says, yeah, everybody knows Johnny. Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker's like your cousin. You know him. He likes a good joke every now and then. So the doctor asks him, he's like, where are you at? Where are you at? Johnny Walker says, I'm in the desert. That's an acceptable answer from Johnny Walker and pretty much from a lot of other people, because that's where he is. He's in Abu Dhabi, bro. It's like 185 degrees outside. You could throw an egg outside, it's going to fry before it hits the ground. You know what I'm talking about? So it's like, that wasn't good enough for this doctor. Next thing you know, the doctor turns around, tells the referee, this man can't fight. He can't fight. He's Johnny Walker. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever seen Johnny Walker get knocked out, then he pops right back up, looks like he's ready to fight again? It's Johnny Walker. So nevertheless, Johnny Walker still doesn't really understand what's going on. I don't know where anybody that could translate to Johnny. I mean, Johnny speaks comparable English, but still, get the man a translator so he knows that the fight is ending. Johnny Walker, I don't know if he knew that the fight was ending, if he thought, I don't know what he thought. The next thing you know, he pushes the referee, and then Ankalaev starts jawing at him. Johnny Walker starts jawing back. Johnny Walker takes off toward Ankalaev. There's security guards coming in the ring, including the dude with the big bald dude with the beard. He said a few choice words to Johnny Walker. Probably let him know, hey, I got my file on me. I don't want no problems. And I mean, Dana White gets in the octagon. He's trying to tell Johnny Walker to calm down. What is going on? All of this caused by the most hated man in Abu Dhabi, that doctor. Bro, let's go to the Victor Henry fight. Victor Henry versus Javad Basharat. I had Basharat in that fight. I'm still upset. So Basharat accidentally throws an illegal blow to the nether region of Victor Henry. Victor Henry drops on the ground instantly. Look like he RKO'd himself. Victor Henry looked like, if y'all know what that is, he looked like he RKO'd himself flat on the ground. And it was due to a low blow. And so he's screaming, he's hollering, and it's clear that this is not an acting. This is not an acting job. This man is not up for the Academy Award this year. This man is really in pain. The Abu Dhabi doctor, I wish I knew his name. I'm just calling him Mr. Abu Dhabi. Dr. Abu Dhabi, he gets in the octagon, starts talking to him and tells him, well, it hit your leg. It hit my leg? Did you see the pain I'm in? It hit my third leg because I'm in pain right now. What are we talking about here? This is ridiculous. This man is screaming and crying on the ground. The doctor is just belittling him like, come on, get up. I mean, it hit your leg. You're all right. It didn't really, the commentators, Paul Felder, oh, come on. Like the commentators are losing their ish. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is what is going on? You know what I'm saying? DC is losing his, and DC, he's good for a chuckle. He's kind of laughing and he's chuckling but then he's serious, and I don't know. And looking at this overall card, man, this Abu Dhabi card, I mean, what was this? There was multiple fouls all night. There was all types of low blows. There was gouging. There was a few low-key eye pokes that I don't feel like were called. I mean, it was like you know what I'm saying? It was like a bunch of schoolyard fights out there on Saturday night. Like, what was going on? Nevertheless, UFC 294 is in the books. Islam Makhachev moves forward. My best guess, he's probably going to fight either Charles Oliveira or he's going to fight Justin Gaethje. Or he's been chirping at Kobe Covington, and if Kobe Covington goes out there and defeats Leon Edwards for the welterweight championship, it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't make that fight, because the UFC, for some reason, believes that champ fights sell the most and sell the best. So I'm sure that they would be salivating, just, hey, Kobe, I heard from Islam, and Islam says he kind of wants to fight you, and I just would like that fix. If you could fight Islam, I mean, come on. Anyway, that's probably where all of that's going to go. Chimaev, I know the UFC wants him to fight for the middleweight championship. I don't feel like he gets it off of that Usman win, so you need to throw him out there against somebody else. I don't know who. Obviously it's going to take him a little while. He's got to heal up from this broken hand, but, I don't know where he's going to go from here, but he don't need to go to a title shot. Shout out to Dricus du Plessis. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see how that goes. The rest of the card, I mean, I guess you could rebook Ankalaev and Johnny Walker, but don't call Dr. Abu Dhabi to be the doctor there, because that's ridiculous. I hope Dr. Abu Dhabi stays in Abu Dhabi. Like, I hope he just didn't fly over there for that. Like, I hope we don't see him again, because it's like, bruh. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Nevertheless, UFC 294 goes down. It had some moments, but I wouldn't say it was the best card. And, I don't know. It just kind of left a gaping hole in my heart as to what was going on. But nevertheless, I appreciate you guys for joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I check you next time. Peace.